Ah, yes, of course. Nothing says I empathize with the working class watching their 401ks tank quite like hopping in a luxury car with your billionaire co-president. A stunt so out of touch with reality that even Fox News' Peter Doocy is calling it out.
And so all these cars won incredible awards. So they're great cars and they're American made. And I think, try it. You'll like it.
And I should say, beyond the cars, they're great. But we have to celebrate somebody that has the courage to do this. He could have said, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to get involved.
President Trump buying a new car, while there are some folks who will see this clip at home and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment. Uncertainty about work ahead.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Prices will fall on day one to a country in transition. One has to wonder how much snake oil even the most cultish of cult followers can tolerate before they turn against the president.
We see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we will see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President Trump has said, and I'm here to echo the remarks of this president of this White House, we are in a period of economic transition. We are in a period of transition from the mess that was created under Joe Biden in the previous administration. Joe Biden left this country in an economic disaster.
These were the words of Trump Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt as she told reporters when asked directly if she could reassure Americans that there wouldn't be a further downturn in the market. Leavitt blamed the Biden administration for what she said was, quote, an economic disaster, despite Biden overseeing a soft economic landing and overseeing one of the most dominant economies in the world.
Biden said last night that was true. It is true that the United States today has the strongest economy. There's no question about it.
Look at the futures, first of all. We're up 477 points on the Dow, 56 points for the S&P, and the NASDAQ roaring ahead by 270 points. That's 1.5% for the NASDAQ. Big gain right there.
Well, the NASDAQ, folks, hitting yet another all-time high.
And if you have different people in the administration giving different messages, I mean, the Commerce Secretary and the President are having different messages on the same day. That's not giving the market any sort of ease or certainty for investors. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have an even greater crash.
While, of course, failing to acknowledge the words of then-candidate Donald Trump, who promised starting on day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again.
It'll all happen very quickly. This will rapidly drive prices down, lower interest rates, and put more money into the pockets of American consumers. It'll also bring your grocery bill way down. I have more complaints on grocery. The word grocery, it's sort of simple word, but it sort of means like everything you eat. The stomach is speaking. It always does.
How the goalposts are shifting now. So much so that even Fox News are unable to swallow it.
Breaking news, what started as an ugly day on Wall Street has turned downright hideous. Broad-based selling across the board, and you could call it a sinkhole that's opened up under the NASDAQ. With 59 minutes left to trade, the tech-heavy index is down. But this is a big, big percentage loss here.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we have an even greater crash.
We should let Jonathan keep talking because the market's come back 50 points.
There you go. There you go.
But obviously, the Dow is 1,500 points below where it was when Donald Trump took office.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
See, there were no amount of verbal gymnastics that could help the press secretary as she first sparred with an Associated Press reporter who just obliterated every talking point she tried to put forth.
We see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we will see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President Trump has said, and I'm here to echo the remarks of this president of this White House, we are in a period of economic transition. We are in a period of transition from the mess that was created under Joe Biden in the previous administration. Joe Biden left this country in an economic disaster.
When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs. And I'm curious why he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. tariffs are a tax cut for the American people. And the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
They
don't get charged on foreign companies, they get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, go.
Then, to my surprise, Peter Doocy decided to get in on the act. You know, the same Fox reporter that you used to find on the receiving end of a Saki bomb in previous years. Well, it seems that the recent downturn in the market has radicalized the man towards some semblance of truth.
The Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here that it's going to be harder to ask certain federal workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day?
Well, I'm glad you brought up workers, because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy and his America First economic agenda. And if you look at, there's great indication to be optimistic about where the economy stands. And the American people, investors, CEOs, small business owners, but most importantly, workers, should bet on President Trump, because his tariff policies, what he envisions is reciprocity, fair trade practices where American workers are put first and are no longer ripped off by foreign countries all over the world.
And we also expect the White House to try to reassure folks who are sitting there looking at their 401ks going down and down and down. This is a White House that came in trying to get federal workers to retire by the hundreds of thousands, but it's tough to make the argument that you should retire if your retirement accounts are getting throttled, which is what is happening right now. So we hope for answers to all of these curiosities any minute. John?
And to conclude this disaster day for the Trump administration, Trump conducted a commercial outside the White House. But sure, it's not one big money-making scheme, right?
President Trump buying a new car, while there are some folks who will see this clip at home and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment, uncertainty about work ahead.
Well, I think they're going to do great. I think our country had to do this. We had to go and do this. They've taken away other countries have taken away our business. They've taken away our jobs. I did it initially very strongly against, as you know, China and some others in the first term. And it was a very successful term. We had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And then we had COVID, which we had to straighten out.
Trump thought this would be a good idea after sending the market into a complete tailspin with his on and off again tariff policy, all while failing to reassure investors that there won't be a recession.
It was awfully quiet at the White House today, a statement that we haven't really been able to say or utter at all over the last 7 weeks. But it rang true today as the markets were tanking over President Trump's massive tariff policy and his refusal to rule out the possibility of a recession, with Wall Street having its worst day of 2025. The president remained behind closed doors for all of it, declining to open any of the 3 events that he had listed on his public schedule to the press, who were waiting nearby with questions. The president has a history of paying close attention to the markets, touting them when they're up as a gauge of his political success, often ignoring them when they're full of red, even when amplified by his own words.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
The president there preparing Americans potentially to wait a little bit as he was hesitant to rule out any possibility that his own policies could trigger a recession. When he was given another chance later on Air Force One flying back here to Washington, he said this.
Are you worried about a recession? Maria Bartiromo asked you and you kind of hesitated.
I'll tell you what, of course you hesitated.
Who knows?
And the result is what comes with a Trump presidency. Turmoil, chaos, uncertainty. But don't worry, look at this nice big pond named after America. Winning.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.